What is going on, Outlaws? Once again, Michael or Legacy Kill HD back with another Red Dead Redemption 2 video for you. It's already been a crazy week with so much information about Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay, the characters, the story, the settings, all the new features, but today we do have some more information. There's a couple more interviews that got published, one by IGN and one by a Japanese website. We also have a couple of more images following those 30 that we broke down just the other day. And within the video that we broke down, I believe it was about 30 images. I forgot to mention one of them, and it was showing Arthur Morgan gambling, and it shows Dutch Vanderlyn just watching. Just a very cool shot showing off some of the things that we will be able to do in Red Dead Redemption 2. Nonetheless, I don't want to waste any time on these images. The first one shows Arthur Morgan, I believe with a Winchester repeater or a Winchester rifle. I'm not really sure. I'm not really too great with weapons, but it does show Arthur Morgan aiming the weapon while I guess the gang is accompanying him to do something. But it's a great look at the horse and himself on it. But the next shot we have is Arthur Morgan on his horse going through a bayou area, and we also see an alligator from afar. Just a great look at the wildlife within RDR2, which will be playing a major role within this experience. But our last shot shows the sunset hitting, and you have Arthur Morgan hunting, and he has a deer over his shoulder. And again, just showing that he's a very strong individual, something that we broke down in the gameplay information that Rockstar Games was claiming, and that's something that we will see play out within the experience. He's either carrying that maybe to the camp or maybe to his horse. Either way, just a great look at Red Dead Redemption 2 that we've had this far. We've had, I believe, just about 32 or 33 images released in the last day or two. If you missed my full breakdown on that, make sure to check out that video because there is a lot with descriptions of each image, thankfully coming from IGN and a few other websites. So I actually have to pause the video real fast because there has been some news that broke, and this will be reflected on the title and the description. But Rockstar Games has announced that there will be more images to come this weekend on their official Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, but they have also said to stay tuned for more Red Dead Redemption 2 information coming next month, including first details about the game's special editions and more. You know, about a week ago we discussed the art book. We all thought the collector's edition was on the way, and it does appear so. It is interesting, the timing. Does that mean it's going to be right around E3 2018? That'll be something that we'll have to discuss later on. But either way, guys, it looks like a lot more Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming very, very soon. So make sure to let me know how you feel about that in the comment section below. And I do wonder what these exclusive screens will show. There's going to be anything more than just what we've seen, or just going to be just some more looks at some of the characters. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and let's get back to the rest of the video. But I will go on to add that the Japanese site that provided all of this, Famitsu.com, did have an interview with Rockstar Games as well. It seems each site got to talk to them, while each website really outlined, for the most part, the same things from their gameplay demo, which it looks like they all played the same thing. There have been different things to come about that's been talked about. But Famitsu.com did hit some notes that I thought we'd go over that we haven't discussed yet. And once again, Rob Nelson was being interviewed, and this is what he said in regards to Arthur Morgan and John Marston. John Marston was such a gentle person, and he came to a land of a foreign place, and the game advanced by meeting people. However, the hero of this work is an outlaw man of active dwelling, living with the gang. It is an image of a person who is accustomed to wearing many pairs of cowboy boots. And I also want to make sure that I note the Famitsu website. The translation it's rough, but I think we get the idea that's coming out of this, and I'm not sure if this is 100% what Rob Nelson actually meant to say, but anyway, continuing on, he says, from his point of view, which is Arthur Morgan, I wanted to tell the story of John Marston, the main character of the previous work. What does it mean to live with the gangs, not only when they are playing missions, but also in off-mission conditions? What is the situation that they are always around? I would like you to know that. So the thing is, going back to Red Dead Redemption, a lot of people were questioning, do we need to hear John Marston's backstory, or the Dutch Vanderlyn gang backstory? And with Rockstar Games working on this game for now 8 years, I think that they do have something to say. And seeing Arthur Morgan show the story of John Marston, I think is a lot more important. Seeing John Marston once again show his story. Seeing it from someone else's point of view can really make this special. John Marston in 1911 is regretful about his past. We don't actually see his past. We see some glimpses within Red Dead Redemption, there's some flashbacks, but we don't actually see the John Marston in 1898 or 1899. And that's going to be very interesting. The man that John Marston is then is probably very different than the one that we meet in 1911. And I think it's going to be a fun thing to see. Rob Nelson would also further add upon this by saying, players will share Arthur Morgan's journey. In the previous work, John talked "We Robbed the Bank." I wanted to tell this story through the eyes of Dutch's right arm, Arthur. Arthur is a very interesting character. I also wanted to draw other members of the gang such as John, Bill, and Javier from Arthur's point of view. We will talk about stories that we could not talk about in our previous work, and Dutch will pick up with a different angle. He also was a character that was interesting in our previous work, so we wanted to dig further. How are gangs tracked by law enforcement officers living in a world where they are changing and modernizing and industrializing? This is the story of this work. It is that they are depicting their journey that is being chased but causing friction to the world. So I don't want to get too spoilery about some of the events in Red Dead Redemption, but the big thing that needs to be noted is that John Marston is blinded, and I should say the fellow gang members are blinded by Dutch's vision, and eventually Dutch is going to snap. The question is, when will that happen? In 1906, that's when John Marston is left for dead. The events in Red Dead Redemption 2 take place in 1899. So I don't know how that's exactly going to play out unless there's time jumps, but we're going to see all this from Arthur Morgan's eyes. We will see the gang fall, and that's something that has been noted by Rockstar Games. But another very important aspect that we haven't really talked about too much in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the music, and Rob Nelson did discuss this. He says that they are making efforts to evolve it, especially this time around. There's going to be a dynamic score in place. Apart from the score that changes as you play the game, there are scores that flow in a specific mission, but this also varies depending on the action taken by the player in that mission. Dynamic scores in the open world will be influenced by factors such as the location and behavior of the player, the event that occurred, or when you did something the player was not very impressed with. However, this is delicate and surely stimulates the feeling of the player, but it should not be overwhelming. Rob Nelson says they are paying attention to that point. In addition, they are incorporating a number of sounds that match the setting, such as those who play harmonica, banjos, and those who play fiddle. This will make you feel that you live in the world 100 years ago. And another very interesting comment about the sound in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the following. Different from the daytime are the sounds of insects at night, the owl's cry, the direction of the environmental changes emerging in the moonlight. The wilderness in the night will be much more dangerous than during the day. Either way, this is some of the most exciting things about games. I love this stuff. I think it really can make the experience that much better, and it really helps. Red Dead Redemption has one of the best scenes ever, and that's when you enter Mexico and that faraway song from Jose Gonzalez comes on, and that worked perfectly for that scene. And if they can do more of that in Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm going to be impressed. But now I actually want to finally get to the IGN interview, which really discussed a lot about the open world and Rockstar's changes. So the first one, they discussed how they want to make this world feel alive. Again, Rob Nelson said, it can't just be like a lot of open worlds are, the feeling of life going on around you, but if you stop and stare at it, you're just wandering forever. You're just standing there, flying past it at 100 miles per hour, it holds up. But if you stop and stare at it, it doesn't so much. So I guess the thing is that Rockstar really wants to make sure is going on in Red Dead Redemption 2 is that life is going to keep on going around you, whether you do something or not. And that's true in a lot of open world games. Nothing will happen if you stand there and stare, and it's true. Again, this is just Rockstar revolutionizing the open world genre, pushing it further, which this has me excited, and why I think this could be a Game of the Year title or Game of the Generation. And he also discussed this further within our camp that we discussed in the gameplay information breakdown. This is where everybody in our gang will be at. He says, so think about regular camping. It's actually quite a bit of work. It all sort of revolves around eating. So the fire and the person preparing the food and who's going to prepare the food. So we've got a cook in Pearson who helps him prepare the food. He basically prepares the stuff, puts it in the pot, takes the pot, puts it on the fire, calls chow, people go over, get some food, go sit down, eat it. So there's a food chain. Once you get that working a couple times of a day, you have movement that if you watch it, it looks real. It looks like they live, chopping wood. So again, this is just more information on Rockstar really trying to push the limits of the open world genre just by these little things. But then Rob Nelson discusses some pretty big changes coming at Rockstar Games. He says that pretty much they are all working together now. They are one studio, I guess. They're functioning as a single team, working constantly for the best part of a decade. We've done it out of necessity. It used to be that a 50-person team could make a game, then it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you looked at Grand Theft Auto 5 and now Red Dead Redemption 2, you have have all the Rockstar studios helping with development. And I think in a way this is an explanation of why we don't see much from them anymore, why it's been 5 years since we've gotten a game, which was Grand Theft Auto 5 in 2013. And it's because the bar has been raised, and with Rockstar Games, unfortunately, it just takes time to make masterpieces like Red Dead Redemption 2. 8 years of development is a long time, but if it means making the right game and putting out the best game, they're gonna do it. And that seems to be their motto moving forward. But there are some other notes I do want to bring up from this interview that thankfully has been outlined by the great gentlemen and ladies at the GTA forums. Red Dead Redemption 2 has been in development since 2010, 8 years ago, when Red Dead Redemption had just released. So it does look like they had a lot of faith in Red Dead Redemption and knew that they had something special on their hands. And luckily they are fortunate to be making this prequel story with Red Dead Redemption 2 now. But continuing on, the end game for Rockstar Games with Red Dead Redemption 2 is to create a world inhabited by characters who exist independently of you. People will have conversations among themselves that will branch depending on your involvement. And you'll be getting little interactions between gang members that give you more information about who they are as characters. Red Dead Redemption 2 evolves the concept of Grand Theft Auto 5's basic pedestrian conversations by reappropriating the lock-on system, which is now used to interact with other characters in ways much more complex than just shooting them. Rockstar wants the player to feel the responsibility of Arthur's position with the gang. He must provide for them, but at the same time Rockstar doesn't want it to feel like labor, striking a balance between realism and fantasy. Small kills like rabbits are preserved in your satchel because from a design standpoint, it became too annoying having small kills going rotten. Your horse can die, this is something we discussed in the gameplay information breakdown, and it can become seriously injured and you may have to heal it with the right tools. If you fail to give it the medicine in time, it will die. Again, this is Rockstar wanting us to have a connection to our horse and make it a little bit more important than just a walking transport. Missions have a lot more choice into them. In the demo bank robbery, you can choose to do it quietly or not, and that will have a different outcome when you go out of the bank. Not only that, but the law may or may not be there when you get out, or they may show up later. There's plenty of options wherever you go. And again, this is the Grand Theft Auto 5 heist system. I guess it's being much more improved for Red Dead Redemption 2, and that has me excited. And you may choose to take care of your gang constantly or go away for a while, but this will bring consequences. You will be treated differently by the gang. Again, Rockstar really wants to encourage players to take part in the gang and help the gang, so it's going to be interesting how they are able to make us want to do that. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is a worldwide effort. It will be a Rockstar Games production and not a San Diego or North production. Again, this is just showing that all the studios are working on the game, and this is just Rockstar changing. This is who they are now, and I don't know what comes after Red Dead Redemption 2, but I hope that they'd have something before Grand Theft Auto 6, you know, maybe a Bully 2. But anyway, gang, that is all for today. We discussed a lot about Red Dead Redemption 2, mainly the story, some of the other small things, but I don't know what comes next. I honestly don't. It seems like the previews are finally done, and it seems like things are going to go quiet for a little bit of time, and honestly, I'm okay with that. We got so much information that we'll be discussing in the coming weeks and months, so make sure you are subscribed, have notifications on, and I hope that we don't have to wait too long for gameplay, because I really want to see all of this in action, because I'm honestly so excited by all the information that we have gotten. But make sure to let me know down in the comment section below, what do you make from all the information that has been released? What's your opinion of the new images that got released? But thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy or found any informative value. Consider subscribing, as I'm one of your best sources for everything Red Dead Redemption 2. And remember, outlaws to the end.